Good afternoon, gentlemen. Um, Today's session, let me introduce myself first. I manage cloud solutions at iGate. Chucky?
Yeah, hey guys, Zaki Bajwa. I manage the professional services delivery practice for VMware Consultants. We focus on integrating and automating VM delivery for our customers, application delivery for our customers, as well as any hybrid and public cloud delivery, right? So when you think about VMware's stack of management and automation solutions, that's what my team focuses on throughout the Americas for our customers.
Hi, I am Amit. I am principal architect in iGate, mainly focused on cloud professional services and system integrations.
All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Yep, we'll join back up.
Yeah, join.
Yep.
So, I'll talk about a little bit about the agenda, what we are covering today. Today's session we have divided into two parts. First part, we are going to talk about complete cloud service automation. Our focus is mainly on infrastructure and platform layer, what organizations are looking for. There are reusable assets. Organizations want to reuse their existing investments. They want to harness the abilities or the capabilities of the products they've invested. So first part of the session, we are going to talk about how you can achieve those, ultimately leading towards IT as a service. The vision of your organization, you can align that, these kind of abilities to create IT as a service model. The second part of the session, we are going to talk about a very specific example we have created jointly with VMware. This is about staging automation solution. You can push your applications to the staging and eventually to the production environment. So how you can achieve that in a complete automated fashion, including the versioning of your entire configurations, not just the app, but the entire configuration of your infrastructure and platform, and keep it in a repository in a version fashion. So that's the second part of the session. So jumping onto the first part, essentially, as we know, more and more organizations are moving their apps to the clouds, whether it's the enterprise app or whether it's open source application or middleware. That's the reality. More and more organizations are moving their applications to the cloud. At the same time, there are more stakeholders which are getting added to the cloud scenario. So in the past, we used to have applications getting deployed on the production. That's the endpoint where cloud was in the picture. Nowadays, the development and QA teams also want to develop and test their applications right onto the cloud, rather than waiting for at the end to be pushed out to the cloud environment. So there is an entire day of QA testing, including the performance testing, to be happening on the cloud itself before it gets pushed out from staging to the production. So that kind of increases the complexity, the need for the organizations to have things done in a repeatable fashion and done in a workflow manner. And that increases the need for your complete automation. So these are some of the pillars that we are talking about that drives towards, again, IT as a service, and you can fulfill the needs of your various stakeholders which are collaborating over here. So mainly we are talking about infrastructure and platform provisioning. Third-party integration tools integration is a very, very critical component, and we are going to talk more on that as well. But you definitely need to have harness the abilities of those existing investments that you have, especially all the third-party tools that you have bought from the market. You want to use APIs, you want to integrate that, create a workflow fashion, and ultimately align with your goal of IT as a service. Automated cloud deployment, again, you're pushing your applications so that it gets deployed automatically with certain configuration settings ready for that. And eventually you want to ensure that application has been validated on the cloud, especially on the performance front. Functionally, you can run regression test suites, etc., but you also want to ensure that performance benchmarking is done right on the cloud itself. So you want ability, you want the complete infrastructure ability, so that the entire model, infrastructure model gets created, and then performance, your existing performance test suite is run automatically, the results are out, and you can fine tune that right on the cloud. So all that abilities, these are the pillars that are driving towards that automation. So I'll talk a little bit about customer issues. I mean, some well-known customer issues. I mean, it requires, as I said, more stakeholders, means you need ability to do bulk provisioning, you need ability to do configure on demand. Your stakeholders are asking for on demand abilities. You need to manage privileges and audits and security and compliance needs, which are becoming very, very critical across all the domains that you work for. These are some of the customer issues that we are observing. And I think Jackie, probably you can add what VMware has been observing for many customer issues. I mean, if you can a little bit talk on that, and especially on the third-party tools, the needs that are coming up from enterprise customers.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Sorry. So quick show of hands. How many folks in here feel they have a well-defined, automated VM provisioning process in their environment? Show of hands. Okay, probably about 10% of the audience here. And how many folks in that automated process think, if you look at that slide before that takes us through the full life cycle of delivering an application to your customers, how many integrations do you think you typically need in that, right? Is it 5 or less? Hands, 5 or less? Is it 10 or less? Right? Is it between 10 and 20? Right? So that's what we typically see, is about between 15 to 20 integrations are needed when you look to automate the deployment of applications to your end users, right? And that's a lot of the challenges that you're seeing listed here in terms of, not only how do I automate my process, right? There's a whole sort of process augmentation piece that happens before that, meaning let's review our process, refine it, and then look to automate it. But within that automation, there's a lot of third-party integrations that occur, right? Into your IPAM, into your ticketing, into your monitoring system, into your CMDBs, et cetera, as well as for a lot of the regulatory environments into your security compliance subsystems, right? Whether you're a pharma, you're a financial, et cetera, right? So those integrations, a lot of times, is what causes a lot of these issues that Tariq was talking about.
Sure, yeah. So thanks, Jackie. So basically, if you bucket those issues, it boils down to some of the root causes, and obviously, it boils down to you have manual processes, maybe a bit of automation in silos happening. Every stakeholder has his bit of automation in his own area. There is no unified framework for that. So these are some of the basic root causes well known to everybody, but still they are not getting addressed. And ultimately that results into your poor alignment with your business or affecting your OPEX and CAPEX and all of that. So you are not able to harness the investments that you have made and take the full benefit of that. So one of the things that Gartner has done some study, and it talks about how many percentage of organizations are really using automation, and the answer from them is like 75% are still on manual, and then even silos of automation, that probably even if you include that, it's still 75%. That's a large population which is still doing manual. And where does their current automation, bit of automation that is there, where does it reside? So if you look at it, there are 3 buckets. One is at the operating system layer, where your batch scripts. Second is your job schedulers kind of a thing which is running. That's again a bit of automation there. And third is your ITSM tools, where you are doing that. If you look at holistically, there are gaps between all of that. There is nothing that binds together to create IT as a service model, and that's the vision of every organization eventually leading to that. Every organization wants to have the sales service portal where multiple stakeholders can collaborate, get the right resources at the right time on demand, and get things done.
And I would add that this is becoming a bit more complex with the whole move to the public cloud, right? So these issues are certainly relevant for your private cloud environment in terms of on-prem provisioning automation, but if you factor in the movement to a public cloud and deployment and automation and management of those systems in a public cloud, then these issues, just become that much greater. So we're seeing that as another layer of complexity that a lot of customers are facing.
Yeah, and if I add to that more, public cloud integration, organizations are looking for unified views of information. You subscribe to somewhere in public cloud, you have your private cloud. You want all that information coming to a single pane unified view. That's the goal, and only that can drive towards your IT as a service again. So you need to have that ability to do that. And if you look at it, essentially what it comes down to is you need automation at an infrastructure and platform layer. You need ability to automatically deploy your applications, do certain third-party integrations which cover the entire gamut of your applications, like network load balancing, or whether it's a application monitoring tool or ITSM tools. All those you need to integrate and create the complete layer. And eventually the goal is that you want to reduce your time from weeks and months to minutes and hours. And this is the reality. I think, Jackie, if you know, many of the customers have benefited out of that.
Yeah, on average, I would say, depending on the vertical you're in, we're still seeing about a 30 to 40 day VM provisioning life cycle, right? So meaning end-to-end VM provisioning with the application stack on it, fully validated, if you will, compliant to your internal requirements, is still about a 30 to 40 day process in a lot of our customers. Except for the ones that have used the automation solutions we'll talk about in a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I think some of we'll be covering case studies as well, which will talk about the real-time things. So essentially, we have bucketed this into three groups. One is your entire VMware suite of products where you have made investments. Second is your third-party tools. It could be your entire ITSM tools, CMDB, etc., where you have made some investments. And the third and the most critical aspect is more and more organizations are adopting public cloud. So you want ability to integrate that as well and create a unified view for you. So all these three areas, how you can achieve through the automation. I think next set of few slides will talk a little bit more at depth at technical level. I'll request Amit to cover that. Amit? Thanks.
All right, thanks Tarak and Zaki. So we have seen business challenges, we have seen impact to business because of that. We also seen how to measure that. Certain aspects can be measured, certain aspects cannot be measured, but what's the way to move forward? What should we do in such cases? Obviously, the objective is to reduce the provisioning cycle from 30 days, as Zaki said, to just few minutes. And these are the three buckets, what we have seen mainly in terms of VMware products, third-party integrations, and public cloud integrations. So let's take a deep look into how we should leverage these products and what are the tools and techniques to adopt into your cloud business and to have a complete cloud service automation. So this is a typical cloud service architecture, reference architecture to look at. If you see bottom layer, we have a virtualized data center, we have on-premise private cloud, and we also have subscriptions to one or more public clouds, right? So a stack above talks about the infrastructure provisioning, which can be done through vCloud Director or vCloud Automation Center. Obviously, it's a multi-cloud, multi-platform deployment service, right? So where you install those products and do the deployments, you provision the virtual machines and get your cloud enabled. At the heart of architecture, it's a vCenter orchestrator, which provides a scalable cloud service in terms of automating the virtual machine provisioning, and it does it in a very nicely workflow based mechanism where you can not only do the provisioning, but you can create a workflow based mechanism to integrate all bits and pieces. Those are building blocks for your cloud. For example, third party tools like CMDB, IPAM, load balancer, or web servers, app servers, you can have a workflow based mechanism enabled by orchestrator and tie that up into a cloud service. Also, there are certain building blocks which are equally important to do the metering and billing. There are analytics engine which you can actually keep on running and provide analytics based provisioning that can go as an input parameter to VCO, and then on demand you can provision the required compute resources to your cloud. So overall, this talks about the entire structure for your cloud. Obviously, it needs to be customized for your enterprise's needs, and then this is kind of an open framework which can be harnessed to provide IT as a service.
Yep. The one point I'll mention is this is sort of a reference architecture, right? But what we're finding more and more of our clients doing is leveraging Cloud Automation Center with VCO for your third-party integrations, for some of the integrations into other VMware components as well, and not having, you know, vCloud Director that you see there in their solution, right? So depending on your business requirements, your business needs, and your end user customer requirements, we may or may not put that component into the stack, into the architecture. So I wanted to point that out. We're seeing majority of our customers that are enterprise customers really go with, you know, vCloud Automation Center and not use the Cloud Director functionality.
Sure. And at end of the day, public cloud integration is obviously one of the important aspects for your entire cloud strategy. And once you have these different components, you need a one-piece management portal where you can do a unified monitoring of all your distributed components. So certain frameworks like hybrid cloud broker will help to manage all these pieces and provide a single pane of window in front of you to see the distributed components and do the unified monitoring. Let's focus more on how to provision the infrastructure, how to provision the platform, and how to achieve the third-party tool integration. So here what we see is infrastructure automation divided into mainly 4 categories. You provision the infrastructure, you configure it, you integrate the different pieces all together, and you manage at end of the day. So this is a logical sequence of day one operations typically happens in cloud and data center kind of scenario. You provision the cloud infrastructure, there's a need to provision the virtual machines, there's a need to provision the organization, tenants, do the custom naming or bulk provisioning, that is, those are the custom requirements from many enterprises, do the template deployment, and it could be either blueprint deployment to, you know, deploy the cloud infrastructure. And once the cloud infrastructure is in place, you will need to do the guest customization with the help of sysrep files, and that could be, you know, some examples could be setting up the time zones of virtual machines, or do the domain joins, or setting up the network. So these are the typical configuration related activities when the provisioning is done. And then integrate the provisioned resources with DNS or IPAM, or do the identity management integration, or do the CMDB, or there is a set of what Zaki mentioned, 15 to 20 such integrations are there in order to enable the cloud. And once the provisioning is done, configuration, integration is done, you will obviously need to manage the cloud on day-to-day activities like auto scaling of nodes, provisioning, deprovisioning, monitoring the virtual machines with well-defined parameters, taking certain actions to do the self-healing and complete lifecycle automation. So overall that includes the complete orchestration and automation for your infrastructure needs.
Yeah, from an integration point of view, as I mentioned earlier, you know, there's typically 4 main integrations that, you know, 99% of our clients require, right? There's LDAP, authentication, whether it's AD, Oracle Access Systems, whatever the case might be. There's some sort of integration into an IPAM system for, you know, IP, DNS, DHCP, et cetera. There's I'll call it a ticketing or a CMDB, right? Some sort of a backend ITSM system that we integrate with. And then the 4th one is typically a management or monitoring system of some sort, whether you're a HP OpenV shop or a, you know, Dell shop or even a VCOps customer, right? How do we integrate into that? Certainly in that manage phase of the automation. And then we also help a lot of customers with, as I mentioned earlier, you know, sort of security and compliance integrations that need to happen in that life cycle. But as well as, you know, we have plenty of customers that say, you know, we're a Microsoft SCCM shop, right? Or I'm a BMC Atrium orchestrator shop, or a HP OpenV orchestrator. So helping sort of integrate your existing workflows with this stack as well. So that's probably another layer of integration that we help customers with.
Let's see how to, what are the characteristics or what are the specifications to automate the platform. So when you say the platform, obviously you install the applications which are kind of enterprise applications like web server, app server, database server, or any kind of software installation that needs to be automatically deployed on your cloud to define your platform. So typically platform installation is done with packages, MSI installers, RPMs, or any such application packages that can be installed using application installation tools like Application Director. And then once you have the application platform set, you do the configuration or reconfiguration, setting up the storage, changing the compute capacity, storage capacity, etc., and integrate the applications with identity management like AD server, setting up the load balancer, doing domain joins, user management, setting up the firewall, changing policies, integrating with ITSM for service management, ticketing system, etc. And the next step would be to manage the applications, to manage the clusters, manage the provisioning of applications, doing the performance monitoring with APM tools, and complete management of lifecycle of applications. So these are the typical integrations with products and tools and third-party tools which needs to be established on your cloud. So VCSE based integration is the most significant area when we talk about third-party tools, so because it enables integrating tools with your cloud environment. So it not only provides the default ways, but it also enables doing custom features, doing customization of the third-party integrations like IPAM and DNS and AD, and then that such integration enabled system can be audited and monitored. Those features are also available through such products. And it not only integrates third-party, but other vCloud suite integrations are also enabled like VCHS or VC Operations Manager or NSX. So there is a facility to do such kind of integrations as well. And such integrated fashion environment makes your cloud more feature rich, and it increases more efficiency. Public cloud integration is another most important aspect of integration, where you can harness the existing subscriptions to public cloud, and using public cloud APIs you can do the integration with your existing cloud. So what are third-party integrations typically happening on the cloud? So let's take a look. There are load balancers like F5 and other load balancing tools which provides LTM, GTM load balancing facilities, network and application load balancing. There are CMDB and IPAM tools to do the IP address management. There are DevOps tool automation like Puppet and Chef. The ticketing system, typically IT service management tools which can be integrated. There are other orchestrators also apart from vCenter orchestrator to integrate that into your existing environment like Atrium and HP and IBM orchestration. That system can also be enabled through VCSE integrated mechanism.
Right. The only point I'll mention on this slide is, this sort of looking at this list can be daunting, right? To say, oh, wow, I need to do all of this in order to go provision a system automatically. So the point I'll make there is, as you work with your business, as you being the IT leaders in your organization, define your service catalog, define your service offerings, right? Depending on that roadmap that you put out there. For example, we're going to start off with infrastructure as a service, then go to platform, and then potentially go to the public cloud. Depending on that evolution of services you're looking to offer your customers, these integrations will likewise have sort of an evolutionary path as well, right? So most of these integrations are mixed up together, but that's how we're helping our customers to say, okay, what gets you to infrastructure as a service, and then layer on the platform piece, layer on the public cloud piece, all tying back to your IT service catalog, if you will.
Right. So let's take a look how to integrate all these things together. What is the mechanism and how I can facilitate this integration technically. So let's take a look at this architecture where we have a VCSE at the center, and all orange boxes, the 6 boxes you see on the screen, enables integration for third-party tools and components. So service catalog is the one where advanced services can be defined, and it can be offered through VCSE custom portal. Not only by default services, but you can also write additional services and offer it as a service through VCSE. VCSE can also act as a service provider for application director. So VCAD, which is application director, can be configured as one of the endpoints for VCSE, and that integration can be enabled. So through application director, we can enable services, we can have blueprints, we can have custom tasks. All those features of application director can be leveraged, and VCSE can act as a cloud platform to do the service automation for your cloud. Plugins are nothing but .NET assemblies. Such assemblies can be written to custom define the workflows that VCSE has, and certain examples like doing the custom host name or changing the host name, defining your own enterprise policy to do the custom host name. You can write these plugins and plug it inside VCSE and do the customization. Workflows enables, there are steady state workflows which VCSE provides. So by default, there are around 6 workflows to do the build, to do the provisioning, to do the registration, unprovisioning, decompose, and finally expire the virtual resources that you create. So there are certain such by default workflows, state change workflows given by VCSE, but at the same time, there's a VCSE development kit, CDK, which you can leverage, and you can create your custom workflows and add it in on top of what is there by default. So these state change workflows can be leveraged, and CDK can be leveraged to add much more custom workflows and do the feature enhancement of VCSE. Integration is obviously we are talking about integrating third-party tools which you see on the green, and integrating those with VCO and leveraging VCO to do custom integration. So these integrations typically happen through REST or SOAP plugins, or you can also leverage APIs exposed by third-party vendors, and you can write your plugins, integrate through VCO, do shim integration with VCSE, and make the integrations more feature rich. Tools are command line utilities which can be developed and kept within the framework of VCSE, and typical actions like bulk provisioning can be achieved through custom tool development and integrating that with VCSE. And obviously, as I said before, VCD, VCO, vCenter can act as endpoints for VCSE. So typically, this defines the framework for your cloud service automation using VCSE. So let's see, with these tools and techniques, we have offered various solutions to our customers, and Zaki, would you like to talk about how customers have derived benefits out of that?
So as I mentioned earlier, right, I help our enterprise customers in North America deliver our cloud management and automation solutions for VMware. I have a team that does that across the country, and I've certainly partnered with iGate at a lot of these customers to go in jointly and deliver these solutions, right? And the previous slide that shows that full life cycle of how we approach this service delivery, and more importantly, what are some of the key components we have integrated with, right? So these are all actual customer examples where we have worked with iGate in delivering these solutions to our customers, these third-party integrations. So I'll walk you guys through 2 quick case studies that we put together. One was for a big personal care corporation in the United States where they had your typical business problems. As I asked earlier, about 10% of the audience here has actually automated their VM delivery and application delivery. So same issues here. They had issues addressing sort of promotions, that they were hosting websites for various marketing agencies, and they wanted to be able to provide access to these marketing agencies to get VMs, get IaaS and other web components installed on those VMs automatically, and then allow those marketing agencies to be able to provision various marketing websites out to their consumers, right? So what we did here was through vCloud Automation Center, VCO, we were able to automate the delivery of that full stack that I just mentioned that consisted of Windows, IIS, SQL, F5, and then integration into Gomez as well for the tracking of those websites that they deployed. So we went through a pretty extensive project with this client, probably about a 6 to 8 week project, right? Nothing too long, but very detailed, a lot of process definition on the front end, a lot of service design, service definition on the front end, and then integration using our tools as well as the integration into the third party. We automated sort of that whole process end to end. So as you can see, the net result was taking that provisioning cycle for these agencies from 30 days to within 2 hours with that full stack of SQL, IIS, F5, and then naturally the benefits there were lessening the overhead involved in automating and not having manual process that turned into errors. Here's our overall architecture. I won't go into the detail, but as I said, there was this web request portal where these agencies came in, requested the system, and then using VCO, a lot of sort of XML parsing. We leveraged the templates and VCO to do that integration into all of the backend systems that you see there, as well as injecting some of the IIS, SQL, and Gomez integration on the monitoring side that they needed to do. So this is what that overall architecture looked like. Go to the next one. Second case study is really around a auto car security company that we worked with to do a similar exercise, more focused on RHEL and WebLogic and automating the delivery of RHEL systems with WebLogic to achieve, sort of automation and speeding up the VM and application provisioning. So similar concept to the past example where, a lot of manual process was used at this client. Weeks in provisioning. I think they were at about a 6-week provisioning life cycle for their WebLogic farms. And we went in with vCloud Automation Center and VCO and took that infrastructure as a service and platform stack with WebLogic and automated it using some of the techniques we've talked about earlier and allowed for that delivery of that service to occur within minutes when we finished with this client. And then likewise, as we showed you earlier, the full life cycle of requesting a machine, building it, provisioning it, doing all the post-delivery tasks, as well as all the integrations into F5, and then layering on the WebLogic component as well, was what we achieved here with the solutions that we've listed.
All right, with that, let's move to the second section of this session. It talks about the integrated cloud staging automation. So when apps move from, when you do the release management for your apps, obviously with release, you develop the apps on your dev environment, you test it on test, do the staging, and then it goes to production. So typically what we have observed is, while doing the staging, there are certain challenges and issues enterprises face. So let's focus with this example, let's focus on provisioning infrastructure, let's understand how to do the app deployment, and let's understand how to do the validation of the applications post deployment. So typically in the staging environment, when it needs to create the infrastructure environment, you will need to create the platform environment, as well as you need to create the application environment. So typically our observations and what enterprises are consistently telling us that there are no standard mechanism to do it, and most of the things are manual, whether it's infrastructure creation or application configuration or infrastructure configuration, or doing entire set of things to get configured. It's all manual right now. Typically with applications, most of the processes are manual, and what it ends up with long time to do such configuration. That is one of the challenges. Another challenges is once configuration is done, infrastructure is in place, applications are installed, admins are quite hesitant to tear down the infrastructure and application. Simply the reason is it's very complex to do it again, and since that stack is actually in place, it consumes a lot of cost. So it ends up with increasing the cost with less and less efficiency. And as I said, there are no defined standard mechanisms. There is no single model to do the releases and do the staging of your apps and your cloud. So these are the typical challenges in the staging environment that we have observed with. Let's take a look how to do a model based approach and how to resolve those challenges. So we have developed this solution using in partnership with VMware, and we have developed a staging automation framework to take care of these issues and challenges. So what you have is using VMware tools, we have created infrastructure, platform and third-party tool as a model. This model is created in a very standard fashion, which can be repeatable n number of times, and it can be version at the same time. So at any point of time, you can get the requisite version and deploy it in your test, QA, staging and production environment. So the staging mechanism gets fully automated and it can be repeated at any point of time. It's so easy to use, click to deploy, click to tear down, and it's so easy to do the staging by a fully automated way. Let's take a look at what are the features. So as I said, it's a completely model based architecture. You create a model out of your infrastructure and application, deploy that model. Model basically consists of infrastructure, whatever is required to deploy or install your application. Model also consists of platform to set up the application stack on top of it. Validation of infrastructure and application can be done before installing application, so that it's a completely trusted model to go for the next steps. So this validation is being done using test automation framework. Validations are done using certain input specifications, which are inputs coming from JSON file, and then you can verify the model before you go forward. At the same time, integration with existing functional test cases or existing performance test cases can be done using automated framework, and that way you can be assured that whatever is deployed or whatever is getting staged, you are doing it right at the first time with no troubleshooting required at any point of time. This model can be completely versioned, and versions can be stored as a history so that it can be repeatable at again based on requirements, and rollback can be done suppose during staging if any problem occurs. So instead of doing troubleshooting, you can roll it back to previous good stage and start it over from the beginning or any logical midpoint. So that way a lot of saving is done in terms of effort required to do the staging, and a lot of cost is saved with help of that. So CSAS operations are based on typical check, deploy, check model. You check before creating the infrastructure. Cloud infrastructure consists of organization, tenants, and the resources required to make the infrastructure. You check the infrastructure, then you deploy application, you validate the application deployment, and then go for validating it. So validation, as I said, those are automated functional test cases, and which can be, if those test cases are already existing like Selenium or any other test framework test cases, we can easily integrate that using this framework. So it offers a complete flexibility to your existing application and performance test cases, and it offers a completely open framework to reuse that with the help of existing models. Let's look at the architecture, what it offers. So infrastructure can be modeled using application director and its components like blueprints and services and custom actions. modeled application can be exported as a XML file, which can be stored using inbuilt solution as a configuration controller, and this application which model is stored, it can be versioned so that we can save a history of that. Now, deployment controller can import this model and do the deployment on VMware platform. Environment specs are stored externally so that the model is completely environment agnostic. It can be deployed on any platform. In the architecture, you see there is a VMware vCloud, but instead of vCloud, you can have any other platform to deploy because it is environment agnostic. So, all environment related properties and values are being stored in the environment spec, and this is how it helps to do the multiple deployment on multiple platforms. At the bottom, there is a test automation framework, which is a Twister based framework. Twister is open source test automation framework, which has been leveraged here, and it integrates with VCO again to do any validation operations to be done on infrastructure or applications. So, whether it is checking capacity of my infrastructure or verifying various properties of the infrastructure or doing the platform compliance checkpoints or invoke application specific test cases. So, this is a very open architecture which can be customized at any point of time, and we can do the staging automation in a nice fashion. Let's take a look at typical CSS operations. So, you create the model using application director, you deploy the infrastructure model using the deployment controller. Post deployment, you validate the infrastructure aligning with the theme check deploy check. Post validation, you do the platform validation, deploy application on top of platform. So, we have infrastructure, we have platform, and we have deployed application. Post deployment, again validate the application whether it has been deployed correctly or not, and that is how all these stages of sequential operations are automated using this framework. So, let's take a look at benefits. So, staging obviously requires a lot of troubleshooting in manual activities. So, all such manual processes and troubleshooting is being skipped here. First time success is very important, and that is what we are trying to achieve through cloud staging automation. So, it brings in a lot of benefits in terms of reducing staging time from days to minutes. It eliminates completely deployment surprises completely. So, there is absolutely no way to troubleshoot. If at any point of failure, you just roll it back to previous good stage and start from that point onwards. That way it ensures similarity between your staging environment, dev queue environment, and production environment in terms of infrastructure that has been provisioned. So, you assure that there is a similar infrastructure, and that is why the errors are getting reduced in production. Can do the version controlling, and versions can be stored so that rollback can happen. Model helps you to do the actions in repeatable fashion, and that is why the model based approach is can be leveraged with this architecture. So, overall this covers entire set of automations. In the earlier part, we have seen these are the 5 pillars which are required to automate the cloud service operations, and this how it helps us to do the automation across all stacks, across all layers. So, let's take a summary how cloud service automation helps us and how we can define our IT as a service and how we can align with business strategy.
Yeah, I think we are almost at the end of it now. We'll keep some time for Q&A, but just to summarize, and Jackie, feel free to add.
Yep.
Essentially what we are talking is you can definitely reuse your existing assets, whether the investments are in your VMware product suites, whether in the third-party tools, or if you are subscribing to public cloud, you need to harness maximum abilities, capabilities using APIs, you can integrate that, and your vision, your organization's vision of having cloud IT as a service, you can achieve that. and it will align with your strategy. That's the basically fundamental tenet of it, and you can maximum utilization of your investments you can make it rather than investing into different new products all the time. Jackie?
Yeah, no, thank you. So, our whole thought here was to show you guys the full life cycle that we take customers through in automating their infrastructure as a service, their platform, meaning applications or the platform stack. And then more importantly, what we're seeing is as companies mature on those two services, they naturally are starting to look at public cloud. But even within infrastructure and platform, they're looking at next layer of services, right? Whether it's the network stack, it's a data analytics stack, or some other high-level service that we haven't automated yet, right? So that's sort of the evolution we're taking most of our customers through, but it does follow this process that we've laid out for you. And these are the typical, evolutionary steps and integrations that are needed to achieve for any service to be automated within your environment.
All right, we can take questions.
I think we're done. So yeah, any questions or comments from the audience? I think there's 2 mics on each end. Okay, if not, thank you for joining. Have a good rest of the event.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.